Hey guys, today is a walk-in Wednesday. I've got some odds and ends guns to show you. Basically guns that I found pretty fascinating, and I just couldn't put them on the website until I showed them to you first. The first one is a gun review, and it's a full automatic weapon that you can own. Okay, my son Kurt came over for Easter and he shot me with this gun, and I was just floored by it. It's very, very cool. I should be probably a spokesperson or get some kind of a sponsorship. GB is on here. Maybe it's Gun Broker. I don't know. But this is called the Gel Blaster. Now, if you've seen this before, you're not really turned on right now. But I can tell you this is very cool. Here, let me shoot it at you. First of all, it does have a select fire single shot. Okay, here's single shot. Actually, more than one bullet came out. All right, and here's full auto, guys. This is just, it's unbelievable. Okay, I'm going to have hours of fun with this this summer. But you guys are gun guys, so you're not going to lecture me about the dangers of this thing. But these shoot a gel pellet, which actually when it comes in, I got 10,000 of them. They're about the size of a mustard seed. So very, very tiny, but you soak them in water for about 2 hours. And you can see it's just it's a water gel. And it is biodegradable. They disintegrate, or at least I shot them in my house. I shot them in my house on Easter, and the next day I couldn't find them, so they just disintegrate. It's very, very cool. You want to shoot friends and family with them. It also has a screw-in silencer or something that screws in. That's just a joke. You don't need a silencer. Very cool. And one more thing, I know I'm going to get inundated from you guys who want to buy them. Legacy Collectibles does not offer them. I just went on Amazon and bought it there. So check it out. Amazon, you owe me. Now, let me do this one next. This is just very beautiful gun, very cool gun. This is an 1877 Colt Lightning. Come take a look. Beautiful gun. You can see it is one of the first double action 41 caliber, which is kind of an odd caliber, but you do see the Colt, you do see it's deeply engraved. Love that fire blue. The action on it is very tight, very well made gun. And I'm not going to dry fire it hard, but again, it's an 1877 Lightning Colt, and ivory grips. You can see the engraving here. I'll tell you who did the engraving. Look at the blue, fire blue. And one of my favorite parts is the front sight. I'm going to put something dark behind it. Actually, that's a copy of my book. So if you don't have one, I just love it when people write to me and say, how can I know whether or not my gun is an SS gun? Duh, buy the book. If you look at with a dark background, that looks like a marijuana leaf to me, but I could be wrong. Now, when was this done? Obviously, this was not engraved, or at least not finished, in 1877. There is a name right here. Randy will try to get a picture of that, but with the glare it's really hard to see. It is W.B. Ellis, and when I Google him, he is a famous engraver. Also works on the timing of this, which is meaning the action, how tight the action is. This one is impeccable in terms of the action. So I know he does beautiful work. Just a really cool gun that we will make available on the website. There's the flower again. Maybe it's a sunflower, not a marijuana leaf. Here's the second gun I wanted to show you. Absolutely beautiful. This comes with a story, and one of the reasons I wanted to show it to you. About 5 years ago, I picked up from a collector just the slide and the frame. Everything else was missing. The top plate was missing, and the firing pin and the signal indicator pin. The barrel was missing, but I did have the frame and the slide. And if you look at the serial number, it's a first variation P38. In fact, it's 260 guns into the production, so it's extremely early. Now, these early guns were noted, most noted for their hidden extractor, which evidently was not a good feature. You can see here, here's a typical P38, and they only made about the first 1,000, and again, 0 series because the prefix was always 0. They only made about 1,000 of them in the first variation. Very hard to find gun. Absolutely beautiful condition. Probably never issued. The parts were probably picked up in the factory at the end of the war by the GIs who brought it home. Somebody brought it home and said, oh, this will be a project. I'll put it together. Somebody sold it to me because I said, oh, this will be a project. I'll put it together. I never did anything with it. I'm not that handy, not very mechanical, but I did send it off to a guy who's one of our subscribers, and he said, yeah, it looks like a project for me, and he actually completed the project. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about it. All the small parts do have a Waffen stamp. You can see it under here. You can see it on the trigger, top plate. Everything is Waffen stamped. And here is also in the early feature, see that step down? On a typical P38, well, here's the slide, you don't have that step down. And I don't know if that was to strengthen the slide or not, but that was an early feature. There's the 3 proofs. They are very faint, but when you rub your finger across them, you can feel the raised metal. And I think this slide very well could be all original. It's hard to say for sure, but the slide could be original finish. Look at the front strap. Again, probably never issued, just kept as spare parts. The barrel was added, and I believe this is refinished. So the barrel is refinished, and then you can see that it's blank. There's actually a shadow of a number there, which was polished off, but it did have a serial number. Now it's blank. And if I do the takedown lever and we check the locking block, you'll find that that's also blank. Slides right off. You can see the interior. Hardly used. You don't even see rub marks here. But there's the locking block, which is also polished off. I'm going to take a look at the bore, and actually the bore is beautiful. I would rate the bore a 9. It's got strong rifling. The bore is about a 9 out of 10. Now, one of the reasons I want to show this to you, first of all, great project to our viewer. I'm not going to give his name because he didn't really give me permission to give his name. But you do see one thing about the hidden extractor. This barrel is a later variation because where the cutout was for the hidden extractor, the correct barrel would not be cut out right there. So we know that was a later barrel, not numbered. So we're not trying to fool anybody. This was put together. The second thing that people look for on the first and second variation is the rectangular firing pin. Here's a pin on a firing pin, of course, is usually a circle, and you can see that here. It's usually round, and here it's a rectangle. When I mentioned the step down, I didn't show you the other side, but you can barely see right there is a step down as well. It's hard to see because of the serrations. By the way, the grips are usually numbered to the gun. These grips were replaced, they were replaced as part of the project. Okay, as I put this back together, takedown lever back in place. I wanted to show you that decocker also works when you cock it, and then decocker works perfectly. So fully functional first variation. Now I've just bid on one of these at an auction, and it was all matching and correct. It did not have a matching magazine. This is, by the way, a later magazine because it's JVD. But at auction, I bid it up, and it went for over $15,000. So these can be very expensive. If this is a variation you're seeking, you can buy this one for a lot less. Totally up to you. I just wanted to show it to you because it's just an absolutely stunning gun and a rare variation one. Probably made in about 1939. Okay, this is the final gun I want to show you, and this one you're going to scratch your head and say, what the heck is it? First of all, you see this, and you're probably thinking, okay, this is a Luger holster that has been modified for an artillery. You'd be close, but come take a look. Now, I just had to show this to you because this is one of a kind, and again, I'm left scratching my head. I want to hear your respectful feedback because this gun just doesn't make a sense to a collector. So we're going to dissect it a little bit. First of all, it's not a Luger holster, it's a P38 holster. It was made in 1941, and this is one of the mysteries. It was accepted into the military. There's the Waffen stamp, so 41, P38, but there's a Navy marking. Now, if that Navy marking is real, it should look exactly like this Navy marking. This is a Luger from 1939. That was a Navy Luger. And I'll give you a close-up of this side by side. They look exactly the same. I believe the Navy marking is real. Now, that doesn't mean that it wasn't struck by somebody later because people did pick up stamps and stuff. So could this possibly have been put together by somebody who's trying to enhance the value? Yes. That's possible. Could it be real and one of a kind? Yes, that's also possible. This extension here is for an Artillery Luger. And the stitching, you can see, this looks like factory stitching, but this does not. But if you know Navy Lugers, the Navy marking was done at the Navy Arsenal, and this stamp was applied at the Navy Arsenal. So I believe this is a factory correct P38 holster that was altered probably at the Navy Arsenal. Here's the other side. Again, you can see the stitching is a little bit different here and here. Now the mystery grows. Look at that. They added the Luger tool pouch. Again, P38 added a Luger tool pouch. This stitching looks a lot like this stitching. But look at the verdigris here. That just means age. Verdigris here on the brass stud put together. Now we're going to pull out the tool, and it is a Navy marked tool. The M with an anchor. Navy marked tool. P38 holster, altered in 1941. What the heck is it? I got to show it to you. I'm just marveling. This is one of a kind gun. Now, here's some more information that is worth noting. Here we have, those of you who collect Lugers, you know that's a 1917. And then it was reworked post-World War I. We've talked a lot about it on this channel, that after the war, a lot of the Lugers were destroyed, a lot of them were reworked, and the ones that were reworked, they were marked 1920. It doesn't mean that the rework happened in 1920, but they marked them 1920. They went through the rework process, and some went to the police, some went to the commercial market. A very few, very, very few Lugers that were reworked went to the Navy during the Weimar period. So basically the 20s into the 30s, before the Nazi era started when Hitler came to power, so 33, 34. So this gun was made by DWM. You see the sight, this is not a Navy barrel. The Navy barrel was a 6-inch barrel. This is an 8-inch barrel. It's actually a little under 8. The 6-inch barrel, the Navy, well, you can see here, the Navy, the rear sight was adjustable, but it only had two settings, 100 meters and 200 meters. Here you can see more adjustments in an artillery. This is the rear sight of an Artillery Luger. This is all matching, by the way. So Artillery Luger, artillery barrel, all matching numbers, reworked, probably refinished, and whenever this was done, sometime after 1920, this was all reworked. And it was refinished at the same time. There is no halos here, but that was because it was refinished when they issued it to the Navy. And here's the Navy marking, M with an anchor. You see the N North Sea. You see the N property mark, and it's 1319. If you look at the wood bottom, you see N 1319, so it has a matching numbered magazine, probably the extra magazine because there's an X there. It doesn't look like a number was removed, so they took an original blank magazine and numbered it to the gun. Navy marking, extremely rare. Now these do exist. These exist. There's not a real mystery here. This is a beautiful and really a perfect example of a 1917 artillery that was reworked during the Weimar period and sent to the North Sea Navy Arsenal and numbered here and here. What makes this so unusual is the holster, because what had to have happened is this was sent to the Navy base, the North Sea Navy base. Now that would have been in the North Sea area of Wilhelmshaven, and it sat there for a while, maybe was used, but in World War II, when they needed weapons and maybe even desperate for weapons, so the war's going on, they reissued it again, but it needed a holster, so they probably the Arsenal was able to get a hold of a 1941 dated P38 holster. They did the alteration, they added the stamp. If, again, assuming this is all correct, that's the only way this makes sense, because otherwise a 41 holster with a 1920s or 1930s Navy Luger, it's just an incredible find. Now, I do need to say that this came from the collection of John James. He is now deceased, actually recently deceased. And one of the reasons I want to say that is because a lot of the Navy experts out there their knee jerk is to say, this can't be right. John James was a well-respected collector who really knew his holsters, he really knew his Lugers, he really knew collectible guns. And he kept this. He was selling off a lot before he died. I bought several dozen of his guns, and they were all 100% correct, very unique, just amazing guns. And he kept this till after he died, and then it was sold out of his estate. So this comes from the John James collection, for those of you who keep track of that. These are the markings. I can't swear to you that this is all correct, but I'm just telling you that this looks correct. This, you have to tell a story to figure out how it came with this. But is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Is it absolutely correct? You tell me. As I said in the beginning, respectful feedback is welcome. Love to hear from you. Maybe some of you have seen something like this before. I think this is a one-of-a-kind assembly, and we will be offering it either privately or on our website. There is a spare magazine, but it is not numbered to the gun and is not Navy marked. It is just a standard. Actually, it does have the Imperial proof, but it's a standard World War I era magazine. One other thing I wanted to show you about this is it is a blued tube. And those of you who collect Navies know for a period of time, Navy Luger magazines, they did blue the tube for some unknown reason. So I believe this is all correct. The gun is all correct, other than it was reworked sometime after 1920. And then sometime during World War II, it could have been issued. And I would guess not a submarine because of the size. I would guess a battleship or a destroyer or even a cruiser of some kind. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something today. At least I stirred up some controversy, but make sure you get yourself one.